Alrighty, hello everyone. So these MMA movies are coming from ranker.com, by the way. They have their own ranking of these top 10 MMA movies. I kind of just chose from the top 10 movies from the top 15 list that looked interesting to me. So these might not be on their I think one or two of these is not on their top 10 list, but these kind of run congruently with their top picks. Some of them are a little bit different though. I didn't watch any of the Undisputed movies. I probably should have because I see number two and number three are both on the top 10 list, but I already have I know um I have two John Claude Van Damme movies. Um but I didn't want to have like, you know, three, four Michael Jai White movies. He's in a lot of MMA movies. So I tried to, diversify a little bit. We got a little bit of old, we got a little bit of new in here. But go ahead. But starting off, speaking of old, with number 10, where is it at here? Um, Lionheart. All right. This is kind of like a crappier, sort of not so. I mean, it's pretty good. It's definitely. I was about to say crappier, slightly worse version of Bloodsport. Um, but it is a fun, good movie for John Claude Van Damme. Brings in the whole tournament ideals and stuff like that, and the beginning of striking and bringing in that whole thing of being kicking and spinning kicks and all that stuff like that. It was released in 1990, directed by Sheldon Lettich. But yeah, this is John Claude Van Damme, Deborah Renard, and Harrison Page. This is number 17. But it's for me, I'm picking it as number 10 out of the 10 movies that I watched. Kind of the least memorable one, honestly, I gotta say. This is one that you might fall asleep a little bit to because the acting and the plot is just a little bit boring, but still a fun movie. Probably to have a couple drinks to and see John Claude Van Damme do his thing of kicking and whatnot. And yeah, overall, pretty good movie. Also, these reviews aren't going to be super duper long or anything like that. So don't expect a super in depth, hey, this is going to change your life. And with the cinematography and stuff like that. Some of them are definitely going to be longer than others. Obviously, like my top, five are going to be pretty long monologues about the movies, long reviews, I should say, not monologues. But yeah, they're going to be long reviews on the movie. So my least favorite to going up are going to get longer and longer. So coming in again at number 10 is Lionheart. And all of these I'm going to recommend watching. None of these I'm not going to recommend you watching. I all like all of these. So it just goes up from what I remember is most favorable and what I like the most. So starting off with number 10, Lionheart. Moving up to number 9, we have Ip Man. And I was saying IP Man at first, but yeah, Ip Man. Um, and it's a semi-biographical telling of Yip Man, the first material art. I don't know why it says. Why did it say material in this? Weird. Martial arts master to teach the Chinese martial art of Wing Chun. Of course, Tony Ferguson uses a lot of Wing Chun, his elbows and stuff like that. Released in 2008, directed by Wilson Yip. It is it is a Chinese movie. So I believe there is an English dub. I watched it in Chinese with English subtitles. But honestly, even still, like it's that's I guess maybe I should have watched it in English dub and it'd probably been a little bit more entertaining for me. Definitely still a very entertaining movie though. A lot of the fight scenes and choreography really really well done. Donnie Yen shines in this movie. Great acting on their end and overall just really fun action throughout most of it. There was a lot of spots with the Japanese which kind of dragged on a little bit. But there's a lot of fun moments and a lot of heartbreaking moments and a lot of heartwarming moments. Overall, though, a lot of people would probably think that Ip Man, me placing at number 9 is kind of crazy, but man, it just wasn't. I just wasn't really feeling it that much, if I can be completely honest. I just really wasn't. Still though, a really good movie. Definitely a really good movie. I'll definitely be watching Ip Man 2 in some time. So yeah, overall pretty good movie. Giving it a number 9 in my ranking. And moving on to number 8, which is Enter the Dragon. Where's that at? There we go. Got Bruce Lee, John Saxon, and Jim Kelly. I'm bringing up their website so I can remember their names. So, yeah. Anyways, it's a nice little spy movie, but it was definitely one of the first. 1973 is definitely one of the first movies to start, introducing different styles, people from different backgrounds coming into a tournament and stuff like that. But it is really great. It's one of the most iconic movies of Bruce Lee, most would say. A lot of the yelling, kicking, all the action and stuff like that. Done really well by Bruce Lee. And overall, just a great classic movie to watch. Definitely is a great proponent for MMA, and brings in a lot of the fun parts about MMA, of the striking and the wah, 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 wah. I wouldn't even say it was exactly MMA that they knew it was gonna be, but the kicking, the punching, the kicking, and all the kicking and kicking and kicking, just really great by Bruce Lee. Again, I have it at number 8 because it's an older movie. I kind of end up liking movies I can relate to a little bit more. I mean, I still like fun movies, don't get me wrong, but movies that like stick with me in my memory are ones that I can relate to a little bit more, and have a little bit more modern appeal to it a little bit. But overall, really great movie, Enter the Dragon. Another great one to have a couple drinks with the boys and watch together, and see some great old action. Moving up to number 7, I got Fighting. Where's that at on here? All right, now here's an underrated gem. Okay, Fighting is an underrated gem. We got Channing Tatum, Terrence Howard, Zule Hanau. I don't know how to say her name, but she's a little pretty girl. All right, she's a dime in this movie, and I can see why Channing Tatum fights for her and her kid, and tries to pay their rent and stuff. But yeah, a great Channing Tatum film, and great Terrence Howard film. This is 2009, so this is coming off of Iron Man. This is when Terrence Howard's ego was at an all-time high. But yeah, I mean, they both really shine in this movie. Terrence Howard, of course, with the "Hey, you want to fight, man? Man, I gotta fight for you, man. Man, we can come up from rags from riches, man." It's that kind of story. As far as like MMA, it's not like, there's a couple scenes of like, hey, the guy you're gonna fight, he fights professionally, big dog, gets paid way, there's stuff like that in there. But there's no like, hey, you're gonna train this and you're gonna train this and this is gonna get you better. Channing Tatum just like automatically, he knows what to do, kind of stuff like that. And like the first fight, getting into spoiler territory. By the way, if you weren't aware, I do spoil some of these movies that I ended up, putting a little bit more review into. But anyways, spoiling this movie a little bit. Channing Tatum fights this first dude or whatever. And of course, with a lot of these movies, a common theme are like fights outside a bar, or a fight inside a bar, and it's this, underground thing and stuff like that. There's a lot of that. There's not a lot of, hey, so we're going to get you up with the manager and stuff like that. No, it's like, all right, we're going to be fighting outside here, and you're going to be fighting this guy. Ooh, he looks tough. He fights this Russian guy, I think it was, in the first fight, and he like slams him into a sink and knocks him out, and like all of a sudden they're like, "Oh, Terrence Howard's character, oh, you a big player now, huh? Looks like you got yourself a winner." And it's just this like really weird concept of how, managers like who just happen to stumble along a fighter or something like that can become these big names riding off the coattails of success. And that's kind of what the movie was a little bit. I know Terrence Howard set up the fights or whatever, but Channing Tatum actually fought in them, and then Terrence Howard was like all of his buddies and his former accomplices or whatever, like, man, Terrence Howard, he's on top now. He found himself a winner, and it's just I don't know. It's kind of a weird thing, if you know what I mean. If you know what I mean, man. But a really great movie. Another good one to drink a couple. All of these are good to drink too. What am I? I'm gonna be saying that for pretty much everyone. Except maybe my top pick, which we'll get to. Maybe don't drink during that one. That would be a little bit sad to drink too. But we'll get to that when we get to it. It is a very simple plot. And you get Channing Tatum at one of his in his hot youth and stuff like that. So I'm not gay. I'm just being honest here, guys. All right, Channing Tatum. He's in that peak model, mewing phase, and he does mew a lot in this movie. So get ready to see a lot of mewing from Channing Tatum. There's only 3 fights in the film. And then the rest is kind of fun, kind of jibber jabber between Terrence Howard and Channing Tatum, and that one hot chick with the kid that he's trying to save and stuff like that. So yeah, overall pretty good film. But again, I have it at number 7. And then moving on to number 6, we got Blood and Bone. This is also another kind of actually similar to fighting. Where is it at here? I know it's on this website here. I might edit this a little bit, but where is it at on here? I thought I saw it on here. Blood and Bone. Where is that? Oh, 5. There we go. All right, so they have at number 5. I have Blood and Bone at number 6. It's got Gina Carano, Michael Jai White, and Kimbo Slice. And I believe they meant, and it also has Bob Sapp in it as well. Bob Sapp is in this movie, and he's one of the big bads. But it is a great Michael Jai White film. All of his great striking kicks. He does this one kick where he like knocks out 4 people at once, which is just filmed so beautifully in one cut. He's able to get some crazy air with some of these kicks. Everything looks beautiful and great. The plot is a little bit funny though sometimes with these MMA movies, and the dialogue, of course, too, is always a little bit funny. There's a part where Bob Sapp is getting injected, I'm guessing, with a steroid, and he, the guy's like hyping him up. He's like, yeah, you seem like, what are you, pussies? The guy's like, no, yeah, you're gonna kill him. He's like, yeah. And he goes out there and he gets like pieced up by Michael Jai White. By the way, Michael Jai White, I think it's only to like the last guy he has a problem with him, but most of the time that's like kind of one of my, I know he's a badass dude, and like he should definitely get his moments to beat the shit out of people, but like he just does not struggle with most of his opponents. He kind of just takes them out really easily. And then there's, I forget, I don't know the actor's name, but there's this Asian side character manager or whatever, and he's just, there's like Michael Jai White has a cool mellow way of acting, and this dude is just a little bit too much into the role, especially with the cussing and the slang and the stuff like that. It's just a little bit too into it, if you know what I mean, and a little bit unbelievable. He definitely took me out of it, and there's a couple times I was making fun of him because he was just a little bit too over the top with the, hey, come on, hey, this gonna be the fight of the century, yo, talking like that. And it's just like, people, I don't know, there's like a cooler way of acting to go about it, and he just seemed a little bit too over the top and like a little bit too sporadic, I guess. A little bit distracting, honestly, but other than that, it's a fun movie. Again, nothing really, no sort of professionality. It's all like underground stuff. For some reason, they fight at like, it looks like a construction yard parking lot type deal or whatever. And there's a dude with like a blowtorch blowing up fire and stuff. It's like, are you getting paid to do that? Or you just come with your blowtorch and you're just blowing fire up for effects? A lot of things that you'd like answered or whatever, but you know, they're just there for cool effect and stuff. And yeah, done for movie sakes. But yeah, got that at number 6. Again, great little movie to watch, and again, highly recommend all of these movies that I'm listing out to you. Um, and I did watch all of these. I've spent all last week and all this weekend watching these movies to get ready for this video. Even though I'm on the website doing a brief kind of overview of the plot and the actors, believe me, I watched all of these, okay, and I'm giving you my best review of each and every one. All right. But anyway, so moving on from Blood and Bone to number 5, Never Back Down 2. Now, Never Back Down 2 is a lot different than the first movie, and we'll get to that because it is higher up in my tier list, or my top 10 pick list. I shouldn't say tier list. But Never Back Down 2, again, another Michael Jai White movie. They bring in Leo Machida as a little guest star. Evan Peters is in this movie. This is like one of his starting films, and it's really good. This is directed by Michael Jai White too. I didn't know that too. I wish I knew the other 3 actors' names. I haven't seen them in anything else, honestly, and that's probably why that that when they have the actors' names in it, it just mentions those 3 and not the 3 other dudes that were in it, because they weren't that memorable. There's a wrestler, there's a boxer, and then there's like the misfit, emo kid that works at a store or whatever. There's not any of those things, but he just picks MMA up because he doesn't like getting bullied or whatever. Or he did get bullied, and like he got I don't know if he got jumped or if he just got just like bullied by some by some mean gang members or something that are just like, hey, you like to read, bro? That shit's gay as hell. And he's like, by the way, one of the worst things about that movie is the wig they got that kid. Absolutely, it's a black emo wig or type thing or whatever. The guy's obviously bald, but they have this weird, terrible wig on him that is just so distracting. It's like, I feel like it's moved around sometimes in some of the scenes to where it's like slightly off. That could just be me, but it just looks that way. But either way, they this is one of the movies where it talks to about like, mixing in the styles. Hey, you can't just be a wrestler. You gotta mix in the striking. And then the striking guy, hey, you can't just be striking. You gotta mix in the wrestling. And they both do that. But there's a lot going on in this movie, all right? They both got 2 separate plots. There's a love triangle that goes on as well between the boxer and the wrestler. The boxer has a girlfriend or whatever that he's like not really with or whatever. I mean, he's with her, but he's like, oh, I'm annoyed of you. And the wrestler guy's like, I'll treat you better. I can treat you better. And then the boxer guy ends up being like, all right, you'll treat her better. Whatever. I got other girls too. That's kind of what he does anyways. It's kind of fine. There's a full-on sex scene in this movie. So if you got a young kid, do not let them watch Never Back Down 2 or 1. But honestly, you should not be letting young kids watch any of these movies, to be honest, because there's a lot of brutality in this, in all these movies. But yeah, it is a fun little movie of having some MMA legends in there too. I know Blood and Bone like name dropped a couple of MMA fighters, and then I think Fighting didn't mention any professional MMA fighters. But yeah, Never Back Down 2, they drop like 30 MMA names. They're like, ha, you're like the next Dana White, kid. Or they'll be like, whoa, that was more brutal than blah blah blah. They'll mention some old head MMA fighter, and some knockout that they got at that time. Leo Machida's in the movie, but he's like only in it to be like, oh whoa, Michael Jai White trains with this motherfucker, damn, and he's like doing a little chi thing and stuff like that. Michael Jai White's doing with him. But again, another thing with these movies, they can never seem to get like a proper venue. It's always like, all right, we're gonna be running it out of the warehouse, or it's gonna be in the back corner of a 3rd Street alleyway or something like that. And it's like, why can't we set up something? I mean, Street Beefs can get a cage at least. I mean, it just seems they can never find like, all right, we got a cage and stuff like that. But in Never Back Down 2, they do get a cage. and stuff like that. Because Evan Peters' characters is like, oh man, I don't know if he made bets or something or what he did to get it. He was in the first movie too, so I think they just continue his character, and they're like, yeah, he's a rich kid and stuff like that. So yeah, but anyways, moving on, Never Back Down 2 again, really great movie, lots of fun to watch, and again another good one to have a couple drinks with the boys and have some fun too. This one specifically because there's a lot of rowdy moments in this movie. So again, really fun movie. Moving on to Here Comes the Boom. Got that down right here as my number 4 pick. Here Comes the Boom. Kevin James, Salma Hayek, and Henry Winkler. We got Joe Rogan in it too, and we also have Bas Rutten in it as well. He's in it a lot, and this movie should have launched Bas Rutten's acting career, if I'm going to be completely honest. I don't know if he chose not to keep on acting after this, but him just playing himself in the movies is great. I mean, fuck, I'd rather see him in the Rock movies than The Rock, He'd be much more fun and could actually have some fun little character moments. But yeah, no, Kevin James, Bas Rutten work together really well. Lots of comedy. The plot is a little bit, again with these movies, a little bit like, really, what? Basically he's trying to raise money for his high school music program, because the school is just like, yeah, we're poor, so we're getting rid of the music program. Like that would ever really happen. I don't know if that has let me know in the comments, but I don't think there's ever been a situation where a school's like, yeah, we can't afford the instruments, we're just gonna get rid of them, and yeah, I know we got a music teacher, but we're getting rid of him too. We can't afford him. But anyways, Kevin James starts fighting, and he used to be, his backstory is he used to be an NCAA wrestler or whatever. And yeah, he has some funny moments and some amateur fights. There's a scene where he's fighting in the rain, which that would never happen. But there's a lot of like slightly realistic, amateur MMA fights in this movie. The UFC fight he has is pretty good fight choreography, and there's a lot of moments where they show like his perspective that are really cool to see. Overall, a great look into the scene of MMA during that time. Another movie too that mentions a lot of different UFC fighters, and that's something I forgot to mention about Never Back Down 2. Is actually had Dustin Poirier in it, and I think one other MMA fighter who got finished. I think he was like what's his name? Frick, Anthony Johnson. Anthony Johnson is in this movie too. He fights Kevin James and ends up losing to him. Or am I thinking of a different movie? I could be thinking of a different movie. I think I'm thinking of a different movie. But anyways, yeah, Here Comes the Boom. Kevin James, Bas Rutten, great duo. I'll keep mentioning Bas Rutten should have started like some comedy acting roles after this, because he's great in this movie. He really sells this movie. A lot of funny moments from him, even from 2012. Like it aged really, really well with the humor and even though like the a little bit of older MMA references, it still does pretty good to this day. And it kind of sucks we don't get any, like, this is a really high production movie, and it shows with the camera work and all the sponsors and stuff like that. Like we haven't really gotten anything really like that. Except for I think maybe my honorable mention movie, but we'll get to that when we get there. But yeah, fun movie. This one you could show your kids, show your family, and yeah, it'd be great to have a little laugh at this movie. But yeah, Here Comes the Boom at number 4. Moving up, we got Never Back Down, number 1. Now, Never Back Down has Digimon Hussein and Sean Ferris and Amber Heard. Amber Heard in this movie, man. Crazy. This is actually one of her best movies, apparently. From what this website ranker.com says. It says number 4 on Amber Heard's best movies. So if you like Amber Heard, this is the movie for you. But this one had a nice little simple plot, but it's fun. Basically, he's a fighter dude, and he had a viral moment on the internet, man. Viral knockout. And then he gets challenged by this actual MMA fight, like an actual fighter at a party. Gets his butt beat, goes all over the tube. He's in high school, I believe, even though he's like looks old as hell to be in high school. But yeah, this is happening in high school, and this again, this one like looks really well produced, like the camera work and stuff like that holds up really well to today. And yeah, it's a great little cult classic movie. This is really what started, like, I feel like the craze of MMA movies, to be honest. Also, Jamon Hussein, really underrated as well. He's a great, like master type teacher in this movie. They do go over a couple of little MMA techniques, but there isn't like a crazy amount of name dropping in this movie, which I like. I don't like it when, I like it when they pay homage and respect to stuff, but when it's like overdone and over the top, like, whoa, did you see he kicked it just like Lyoto Machida did in that second? It's like, all right, cool, we know. But yeah, Never Back Down. It's a really great fun movie. I think there's another sex scene in this movie, just like a Never Back Down too. But yeah, I really like the corny kind of rivalry the bad guy and the protagonists have. And again, they end up fighting outside of a club or whatever to finally settle the beef or whatever. He becomes stronger, disciplined. There's a little like side plot of him having a little brother who has tennis matches or whatever. Not really that interesting. Has a single mom. Like overall, not a crazy plot or anything like that, but great quality, corny dialogue that will keep you interested and laughing during the movie. And like overall, like just I think the biggest thing to me was like the cinematography and the camera work was actually just like really great. Especially that like party scene and stuff like that. I feel like it was done really well. And although the main actor and the protagonist and the antagonist in this movie, although I haven't seen them in anything else, they actually did pretty good. He had a couple moments where he's like a bit too, I'm angry about this, but they actually did a pretty good job. They did a pretty good job. And that's why I have Never Back Down 1 as my third pick. But my second pick is Bloodsport, and this is Jean-Claude Van Damme, Donald Gibb, and Leah Ayres. This was probably, the MMA movie that I've watched the most. It's one of the most influential as well. The funniest thing about this movie, though, is that it is based off of a fake story by Frank Dukes. Frank Dukes basically made up the story about he went to China and fought in a kumite tournaments where all sorts of styles and stuff like that. I think he bragged about having a record of like, 200 wins and 0 losses and stuff like that. And the studio he brought this to and sold his story to was, oh yeah, this is awesome. Oh, cool. This is awesome. Like, yeah, we'll to buy this, and I had to make a movie off this, and they ended up doing it. Even though it was a fake story, great movie. Killer soundtrack. I can't go over this enough. Absolutely killer soundtrack. I like to listen to some of the music too on YouTube sometimes. Just look up Bloodsport soundtrack. Just really great soundtrack to, vibe out to, it goes into. But yeah, lots of funny dialogue too. Lots of funny dialogue in this movie. The scenes where he's like a kid and he's talking to the guy who teaches him are really great. Obviously, kid actors. I never really liked kid actors, but this kid is top notch. He really knows what he's doing. But overall, like I gotta say, I've seen this the most. So I have a little bit of bias to it being my in my top picks here, because it's the most memorable, and I really like Jean-Claude Van Damme. I think he was really badass. I mean, I guess we have what's his face, the guy who plays Reacher. That's kind of like our big Hollywood buff guy or whatever. But like, we don't have like this guy does MMA type training and stuff like that. We don't really have, I guess, a John Claude Van Damme or Bruce Lee or Chuck Norris type, Hollywood character anymore. I could be wrong though. I don't know if someone else knows of someone like that. I'd love to know, but we don't really have those type of characters anymore. And Bloodsport is one of those classic movies that again, tournament style, all type of styles, and it does show that in the movie. Okay, there's a cut, there's like a Muay Thai fighter, there's like a boxer, there's some guy from Africa that's like jumping on all fours. I don't know what the hell they meant with that, but it's a different style of fighting. But yeah, overall, really entertaining. Another great one to get a couple drinks with the boys and watch too. Again, all of these are great to I'll keep saying this after every review I do of these movies. Good one to get a drink with the boys and have a fun night too. And now moving up to my number one pick. Wow, 31 minutes went by fast. Anyways, moving up to my number one pick, Warrior, and I think this will be majority of most people's top picks. We got Joel Edgerton, Tom Hardy, Nick Nolte. This really is like the end all be all of MMA movies. Brings in a Grand Prix style fighting, which even though this came out in 2011, was popular in the early 2000s of Pride and stuff like that, having those tournament style fights. Really realistic. They even got John Anik in here, commentating and stuff like that for ESPN. So they have a lot of like ESPN influence. They have a couple of other fighters in here that are like making commentary and stuff like that. But a really great movie, really good plot. Just overall, I mean, this is one of Tom Hardy's best performances, honestly, from a lot of the movies I've seen him in. And I think a lot of people agree to that because he really manifests, his anger and hostility, through his actions and his voice and stuff like that. He really feels like, crazy tough guy and stuff like that, and he gets in insane shape too. His traps are crazy bulging, they're just like 3-inch traps popping out from his shoulders and look really intimidating. And they kind of show a style of like a brawler blitz kind of guy that finishes fights really fast, and then they show a more educated veteran style approach to the fight where he gets the submissions and stuff like that. A lot of great, probably the best choreography in all the MMA movies here. And then, again, probably one of the best plots in all the MMA movies. Both fighters end up finding out that they're brothers, and they're fighting in the final fight. One of them defeats an undefeated Russian guy. One of them's blowing through fighters. Really great movie. Overall, just to if you want to get a little something to get a little emotional too with some family members and stuff like that, this one's a good one. Their dad is played really really well. They do one of the things which I really like, which is they don't need to have all sorts of flashbacks and stuff like that. The way the actors talk with each other and their dialogue shows what happened with the backstory and stuff like that. So really great plot, great cinematography, great characters, and yeah, the best MMA movie I can say that's been made so far. I can't out of all these 10 I've listed, a lot of them are missing that realistic choreography, good characters and plot, and good dialogue. Obviously, a lot of them have good characters, but the dialogue is missing in a lot of these movies. You know, a nice, easy to follow plot is missing in a lot of these movies too. Some of them are simple, but a lot of them also get some crazy stuff added in as well. Um, and yeah, it doesn't. You know, there's not really any like cheesy, like corny moments in it. It feels real, feels, you know, authentic and stuff, which I really like in movies when the cinematography, the acting, the dialogue, it all feels real and authentic and taken with a lot of care. And that's what Warrior is, in my opinion. So that's why I have it as my number one spot. Again, I got all of these movies from ranker.com, and I did not choose from the top 10. I chose a couple of these actually from the top 20, it looks like, from here. But anyways, my honorable mention would be the new Roadhouse movie. Has some UFC action in it. Got Conor McGregor doing his thing as Conor McGregor. Should have just been Conor McGregor in the movie. Would have not changed at all the character and how he acts in any way. But that one's a pretty fun movie. Jake Gyllenhaal has some great moments in that movie. And that's one of the more recent MMA movies I can think of that I would give an honorable mention. I know Halle Berry made some shit ass MMA movie. I'm not watching that shit. Okay, with Valentina Shevchenko. Just no. I'm not watching that. Maybe that'll go in my. Maybe I'll make the worst MMA movie of all time, and I'll talk about that movie. But anyways, that is my top 10 MMA movies list. Going on for about 36 minutes. So I'll make sure to put my timestamps, the list and stuff like that, so you can get to the ones that you want to see my review on. And anyways, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for 300 subscribers. I know I started off at like before I really started making the content, I know I was at like 240, or I think I was like 230 something. But I've really been growing a lot these past months and the start of this year, and I want to keep that up with the content and all that stuff. So thank you so much for watching. Thank you for 300 subscribers. Next goal is 500 and then 1,000, and we keep moving our way up from there. But again, thank you for watching and have a great day.